All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we're going to be talking about international boxing on MH Blackwell channel. And this is a international conversation, so I don't really consider it to be strictly boxing. So I can talk about it on this channel as opposed to the boxing channel. It seems as if Turki Al-Shiek, the Saudi Arabian minister of sports, essentially, who is doing a fight, a boxing event in California on August 3rd. And he's a big name guy that a lot of people are saying, hey, man, he's really, really good for boxing. He's going to put boxing under this, all of boxing under an umbrella. And he's going to be then make sure we get all the fights that we want to see. Right. That's what he said. He put on some fights in Riyadh. It's called Riyadh season. And fights like Anthony Joshua, Francis Ngannou, Tyson Fury, Francis Ngannou, the cards that had, the 5-on-5 card with Matt, this whole series of cards, right? So name is getting big. He now has Terrence Crawford, and they're having an event in Los Angeles. And in the press for this, Turki Al-Shiek said something that was, to me, I found alarming and something that I think people should keep their eye on. And it's definitely related to, the things we talk about over here on this channel, on the MH Blackwell channel, because it's deeply about, I do believe that there is a racial component to this, not necessarily on Turki Al-Sheikh's side, but in the perceptions of some black people about business. And I'll tell you what I mean. What Turki Al-Shiek said was, in talking about making a fight between Terrence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez, Turki Al-Shiek said that he had promised to get Terrence Crawford this fight. And he is going to make an offer that he thinks is fair to Canelo Alvarez. But in order to make this offer to him, he has to deal with Canelo Alvarez himself. No go-betweens between Canelo Alvarez and Turki Al-Shiek. I talked about this in a live stream on the other channel. That is a problem, because Turki Al-Shiek is, number one, saying he's going to pay you what he thinks is fair, right? Just like he's going to make the fights that he thinks are important. That is now extended into who somebody's actually going to work with, and whether or not he is going to accept a conversation between himself and a representative of a fighter. And by completely bypassing their management, completely bypassing the people around them in order to make a fight. Now, what he means is that he wants to talk to him and get to know him personally, and then after that point in time, the representatives can speak with one another. But I think really and truly that it's a shot at Al Haymon, because Al Haymon is the person that would speak to Turki Al-Shiek. So this very well could be the first evidence of Turki Al-Shiek really attempting to freeze Al Haymon out. And also, Turki Al-Shiek was very upset, because it seems as if he was upset because Canelo Alvarez is going to be going up against a UFC card that Turki Al-Shiek is sponsoring. So not only is Turki Al-Shiek in boxing, he's also in UFC. So he now is actually having events that are competing against boxing events. So one, he has displayed a bit of a tendency to be a control freak and saying, hey man, I'm not even going to talk to your representative, specifically Al Haymon. Now, why wouldn't he want you to talk to Al Haymon? Why wouldn't a man want why would he want to talk specifically to a boxer and not to their legal representation or their financial representation? And this is now somebody that is actually going to have put on events that will compete with boxing events being put on by Al Haymon. So what you really have here is you have Turki Al-Shiek apparently moving in and trying to compete with Al Haymon and cut Al Haymon out of the fight with Canelo Alvarez and put up UFC events directly against events that are being promoted by or being organized by Al Haymon. And people don't see that. This is the man that is literally doing the same thing that Al Haymon has done, already did. And all these people that are supporting Turki Al-Shiek hated it when Al Haymon did it. So it's amazing set of double standards. And you have a man that is blatantly telling fighters that he is not willing to talk to their legal representation or their managerial representation. And people think this is a good thing. This is a recipe for boxing to go back to mob rule, the mob rule of the 1950s, where it's one man sitting on top deciding what everybody wants. And eventually you can say what you want about how he's feeding the money in now, but eventually he's going to want a profit. They're going to want profits so they can put the competition all out of business by outspending them. And then when the competition's gone, what happens? They shrink the pot. They shrink the money that they're going to pay. It's already happened over there on DAZN because their overpayment is coming from taking losses, while the PBC's and Al Haymon's extra money was not coming from investments from other people and overpaying, but taking lower money, cutting the promoter out, and dealing directly between the fighter and their advisor, who also then has a network deal and can get those fighters on the network. So their money, their increase in pay came from just good management, while this is basically an angel investor who's really just trying to outspend the competition, bypass the managerial pool of things or situations, and enforce what he wants done in two different combat sports. And on two different continents. Europe and America. Okay, then they freeze the money, and you're going to be in a UFC situation where fighters are not going to be getting paid well because you're getting led down the primrose path. But anyway, I just think that it is interesting. This is definitely a much more heavy business conversation than it was a boxing conversation. So I hope you enjoyed. Thank you for subscribing. And with that, I'm out. Deuces.